Hi everyone, my name is Leo, and with this video we will share a demo review of the Tsakalis AudioWorks Room 40 plus the MultiCab 4. First of all, we will hear both units in action with the demo song, then we will describe in details the main characteristics of the units, also explaining how to use them together. Then we will hear more sounds, and finally I will give you my 2 cents. Let's start with the demo song. Let's now describe the Tsakalis AudioWorks Room 40 and MultiCab 4. The Room 40 is a Marshall-inspired overdrive and distortion pedal featuring JFET technology in order to replicate the tone and feel of legendary Marshall amplifiers. Specifically, it aims to capture the essence of the non-master volume Plexi Super Lead and Super Bass, as well as the master volume JMP and JCM 800 series. First of all, the unit has a toggle switch in the center that selects between 2 modes. Position 19, which is up, is the Plexi mode, where volume 1 corresponds to the treble input and volume 2 to the normal input, allowing us to blend them according to our preference. Of course, it is intended as a jumpered Plexi. Position 22, which is down, is the JMP and JCM 800 mode, providing with a more compressed sound and with more sustain. In this case, volume 1 becomes the preamp volume and volume 2 becomes the body, controlling the richness of the bass frequency. Then we have the variac control that adjusts the internal voltage from 7.5 volts to 21 volts, emulating Eddie Van Halen's famous technique. Lower voltage means a saggier, more compressed sound that is easier to break up at lower volumes. Higher voltage provides a spunkier, more organic tone with more attack and headroom. In the center of the pedal we have a 3-band EQ based on the classic Marshall tone stack. Furthermore, we also have the presence control that from noon down acts as a high cut filter, while from noon up acts as a high boost. helping us to match the pedal to any amp. Finally, there's a boost switch with a dedicated trimmer accessible through the bottom plate, which adds gain and ascends mid-highs to help cut through the mix. In terms of power needs, the Room 40 runs on standard 9V DC power, drawing only 30 mA, and it features a true bypass switching. Now let's move to the MultiCab4. This is a hybrid analog digital cabinet, preamp and power amp simulator that provides 8 virtual guitar cabinets with a pretty low latency of only 1.2 milliseconds. Here we have an analog digital path approach. The analog path handles the preamp modes, power amp voicing, cabinet back type and microphone voicing, while the digital path handles the virtual cabinets and room ambience. So a pretty nice design philosophy, I would say, leaving to the digital world only things that must be digital, like the IR simulation. The controls are pretty straightforward and I love them, and allows us to access all the functionality without any menu diving. We have a set of 4 switches with which we can control the pre section that features 2 JFET stages with 3 positions: off to true bypass the preamp section, clean mimics a mid-scooped American amp, where hot mimic a British amp with more mids, volume and breakup. Then we have the power section that mimics the power amp. Of course, in off position it is off. Then we have 2 other positions to mimic EL34 or 6L6 power tube simulation. Then we have the back section that offers 3 cabinet back types: closed, which is tight, punchy and more directional; semi-open, which is fuller with looser bass; and open with a more complex tone with less low end punch, I would say. Finally, we have the mic section that provides 3 microphone voicing: dynamic for an SM57 response, ribbon for a Royer 1-to-1 simulation, and then we have another position with which we can combine these 2 microphones, which is nice. Coming to the more digital-oriented features, we have a big knob here in the center with which we can select 8 preloaded cabinet presets with Fender, Marshall and Mesa Boogie cabinets. And then we have an ambience control that adds natural room reverb, like having a third microphone capturing room reflections. In terms of connectivity options, we have an input with switchable gain pad, plus 12 dB, 0 dB, minus 24 dB. Then we have a true out, an XLR DI out with ground leaf, a balanced line out, an headphone out, an aux input for backing tracks, and a USB socket for connecting to the TAV editor software that basically allows us to manage the IRs inside this unit. So we have a pretty wide set of I/O, I would say, which allow us to use this unit, for instance, with a preamp in an ampless setup, or with our favorite amp and reactive load, for instance, to send a clean cabinet signal path to the mixing desk, in order to have a consistent tone night after night. But it is when we use the Room 40 together with the MultiCab that things get even more interesting. The Room 40 and the MultiCab4 make an excellent pairing, in my opinion. In fact, we can use the Room 40 as our Marshall Plexi or JCM head simulator, and the MultiCab as our cabinet simulator. The setting I prefer is with the MultiCab having both the power amp and the preamp simulations switched off, thus using it as a speaker simulation only, lefting all the pre and power amp simulation coming from the Room 40. Of course, there are no rules here. We can also activate the preamp of the MultiCab for extra gain staging, with still interesting and nice sounding results, even though I prefer a combination that, how to say, respects the roles of each unit, with Room 40 mimicking the wall Marshall head and the MultiCab mimicking the speaker simulation. This combination essentially provides us with a complete Marshall rig in 2 compact pedals, which is very nice. Let's now hear some more sounds. Final considerations here, and please notice that these are gonna be my personal opinions for my specific use cases, and you may not agree with me, and this is totally fine. Furthermore, Tsakalis has sent me these units for free, and this video is actually sponsored, but of course I perfectly know that my clients are you and only you, and therefore, as usually, I'm gonna tell you my honest opinion. Let's start from the Room 40, the pros. Well, of course, and most important, it sounds good. The JFET technology delivers convincing amp-like response, and the possibility to have 2 distinct Marshall eras in one pedal plus the variant control opens up a pretty wide range of tonal possibilities. It is really nice to have 2 of my favorite Marshall amps in such a small format. In terms of cons, I would mention that maybe it does not fit modern metal tones without additional boost, even though I guess that in my demo song I was using this pedal without any problem in a pretty heavy song. Let's now switch to the MultiCab. Well, I have to say that I really like this unit. I mean, it is pretty easy to use. It has all the menu controls that I want at my disposal. I mean, the mic sim, the power amp sim, the cabinet of choice, all under our fingers. And I have to say that it sounds good, with a very clever selection of cabinets already included that allows us to cover many genres. It is also worth noticing that, thanks to the connectivity it offers, we can use this unit in some interesting scenarios. For instance, we can use it standalone with our favorite preamp, like I did in the demo song, or we can place this unit between our amp and our cabinet as an amp DI box to send an IR simulated cabinet sound to our mixing desk, having consistent tones night after night. Or we can use it after our load box to be able to play at lower volumes. Here the only cons I would mention is MIDI controllability, which would be nice to integrate seamlessly this unit in an ampless pedalboard setup. It has the USB connectivity, so maybe it is possible to control this unit via USB, but I'm not sure here. So, summarizing, the use cases I see are home recording, where we need authentic tube amp tones at reasonable volumes, jiggy musicians who need consistent Marshall tones with any backline, studio work, where we want to track direct but need amp-like feel and response, players who already have tube amps but want silent recording options. On the other hand, maybe this is not ideal for players seeking ultra high gain modern metal tones or musicians who need extensive MIDI control and preset management. At a combined price of around 500-550, this tool represents a good value for the quality and features offered, in my opinion. Please let me know your opinions in the comment section below. I'm curious to know which other amp in a box and cab sim solution you have tried, and maybe they can be compared to this duo. We have now reached the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, ring the notification bell and leave a thumb up, as it would be of great help. If you're interested in my IRs or in my Tonics or Kemper or NAMM profiles, you can check out the link in the card above or description below, where there is also a link to a playlist of songs of mine and to my new EP Art, Love, Freedom. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye.